All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got my man Jason on the stream from 137. Is that right?
1:37 p.m.
So welcome to the stream, man. I appreciate you for hopping on and letting me kind of ask you some questions, pick your brain a little bit. So welcome to the show, my man.
Huge Jets fan.
Yeah.
The Jets have an all-time draft bust named Kyle Willson.
Yeah.
He was. They took him in the first round. He was supposed to solve our cornerback issues, and the man straight up was trash. And
Man.
so you got to be a better Kyle Willson than that Kyle Willson. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, 1000%. And I'll tell you this much: I played. So we'll get to. Well, I'll just say it. I played corner in high school, and I actually played with Chris Harris, and he played for the Broncos with Von Miller. They won the Super Bowl, all that stuff. And then, long story short, he plays for the Chargers now. So maybe I had a little influence there. Probably not so much, but I like to think I pushed him to those levels. But
fair, it's fair. I bet you did. Competition. It steps it up a notch,
Hey, I was on that B team and I rep it proudly. So
love that.
All right.
Psyched to be here, man. We've been going back and forth about VV on the Twitter for a while. Psyched to finally actually meet you in virtual person.
Yeah.
And been looking forward to this.
Absolutely. No doubt. So, by the way, that Kyle Willson, he was from was it Boise State?
Boise State, absolutely.
I remember that.
Man used to get toasted, and he would always be looking back, and they would always just get burnt long, and pass interference is nonstop. Oh, he was brutal. He was so bad.
He's the opposite of Revis. He was, a continent, not an island.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
So yeah, how are the Jets shaping up this year, by the way? Draft wise, and
they're the Jets. But they should be a lot better than they've been. They look like they're heading in the right direction. On upward trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. With the Jets, it's always kind of like, let's see. Take it one day at a time and see where it goes. I don't have too much confidence in them making the playoffs or making any kind of a deep run, but they've been so bad for so many years. It's been a decade now of just terrible football. So.
Yeah,
I believe in Robert in Saleh. I believe in I think Zach Wilson can be good. I like the GM. I think that they're starting to get the right guys in place, and that's really all that matters. You want to see some progress.
Yeah. Do you think the turning point was when Mark Sanchez and the whole butt fumble happened? It was like the tides have kind of.
The butt fumble is kind of overrated. I think that really you can tie their. I mean, it's kind of. You have to be a Jet fan to understand this reference, I think, a little bit, because he's not exactly like a Pro Bowl player. But my number one warning sign was when Jericho Cotchery, who was a big part of those two AFC Championship teams, 2010, 2011. They kind of like he wanted out, and it was hard to understand why he wanted out. He was, and they got rid of him and they brought in Derek Mason, and that was that to me was the turning point, because it signaled that something weird was going on there. And they brought in Plaxico Burress, and the next, and then they didn't make the playoffs. And really, the real turning point was the Victor Cruz 99-yard touchdown when the Giants on Christmas Day, and the Giants beat us, and that kind of shot the Giants, on a run to they won the Super Bowl that year. And
that was that the year they beat the 49ers?
No, they beat the I think they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl that year. So
they beat the 49ers the game before, I think. And it was because
they went on that crazy run. They beat the Niners. They beat I think Atlanta or something like that in the Dome. I mean, they won all those games. They beat Green Bay. They were 2 years. There was that in 2015. They won the Super Bowl. But either way,
I think I remember that year because I'm a Niners fan. You got my man Jerry Rice back there with the little signed autograph letter from back in the day.
Freaking Giants. But hey, listen, your Niners are, that's a squad, man. The Niners should be pretty good this year.
Yeah, we're hoping so. We've been pretty decent through the last few years, so I'm just hoping we can, pan out, stay healthy, and go long in the playoffs. So that's all you can really ask for.
We both got new quarterbacks, right? You got Trey Lance. He should be pretty good.
Exactly. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see that shakeout. So tell me a little bit about 137 PM. Kind of, I don't know if you want to do a quick backstory on that real quick and tell me what that's about. And so the new viewers can kind of get, acclimated to that.
137 PM is awesome. I've been there for a year. Tyler Schmidt brought me aboard kind of a couple months into the pandemic. Pandemic, obviously, before the pandemic, I owned a sports magazine. I still own a printing company, graphic design and printing company, and also was doing some consulting work down here in South Florida where I live for a big events company. So when the pandemic hit, sports was shut down. My freelance work, the consulting work I was doing down here, it was for a big events company. Obviously, no big events were going on. And, and for my printing company, most of the stuff that I do is for bars and restaurants and nightclubs in the New York, New Jersey area. Obviously, those were all shut down. So I had nothing going on. And I knew Tyler, and, obviously I followed Gary Vee's content for years, but I knew Tyler through that and through all the stuff that I did with, by being a Jets fan, right? So
Yeah.
I had met Tyler. I'd actually tailgated with him and Gary one time, and we stayed in kind of loose communication throughout the years. And then one day on Twitter, I was freaking out because I had no clue how I was going to make a buck. Like there was just no work for me. And I logged on to Twitter and I saw a tweet popped up in my, in my feed from Tyler that said they were looking for some graphic design help with 137 PM. And I said, you know what? Let's get some work, let's get some money coming in. So I hit up Tyler. It took about a month before he hired me because, I'm sure you're aware, Gary and 137 and all that stuff, there's a lot of people out there, fighting for jobs. I really was going hard. I for all these years that I was doing my own thing, I was really, really, really tuned into all the stuff that Gary was doing and that whole crew. And it helped me through a lot of tough times, a lot of his motivational stuff and all that. So the opportunity to get my foot in the door over there was something I don't want to miss out on. I wanted to get that job. I figured, who knows, it could be life-changing. Maybe things happen for a reason, and
Absolutely.
So I hit up some of my, I had heard back from him. I got a couple of interviews and then I didn't hear back from him. And it was kind of like, I was like, man, I want this job. What can I do? So the first thing I did was I called up a couple of my friends that former Jets players, current Jets players, and Fireman Ed, that, the super fan. And I said, hey, listen, they're all, I'm friends with a lot of them.
Yeah.
From just the magazine and all the stuff that I was doing. Cool. And I said, hey, could you just make me a quick little selfie video saying, this guy, Jay, is the real deal. Give him a chance. I promise you won't, be disappointed. And I stitched this video together and I sent it out to Tyler. And I guess he liked that, but I still didn't get the job. And then I was still kind of like in limbo. And then I decided to go onto my magazine's, blog and kind of write I'd say a resignation letter, but like it's time to move on. I have a new opportunity and, the magazine will be in good hands article that I didn't publish yet. I sent it to Tyler and I said, let's do this. Yeah. He read it. I guess he sent it to Gary. And the next day I got a call and he's like, all right, let's do it. And I was like, let's go. And, cool. I'm super, super psyched to be there. But 137 is great, man. We have an unbelievable team that's growing every day. We have, writers, designers, content creators, TikTok people, Instagram people. It's, and we're covering everything. It's doing video game content and NFT content, obviously. And, we have, sneakers and sports and lifestyle and all, grind and hustle and all the entrepreneurial stuff. So that's great. Myself, about 2-3 weeks into hiring me, Tyler sat me down and said, listen, if you want to make an impact in this company, like I want you to head up all of the stuff that we do on sports cards. I want you, everything sports cards that comes through 137, I want you in charge of it, whether that's producing our podcast that we're coming out with, Card Talk Pod, writing sports card articles, taking care of all the Card Talk Pod socials and all that stuff. And I was like, fantastic. Like, you know, I
Wow,
love sports cards. Like, I got to do this for a living. That sounds amazing. So from that day on, my focus has just been on making sure that the content that goes up on 137 PM, whether it's myself putting it up, or we have some freelance writers that write, that, you know, send me the articles and I stage them up and everything, but that the content that we're putting out on 137 is, you know, hard to compete with. Like, it's second to none. And I think that, you know, I think that we're doing a good job of it. I think we have a really talented staff. And I'm just super, super proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. What a crazy story, how it all come together, the stars align.
Crazy
But
world.
you did your due diligence, man. You went out there, you grinded, and like you said, that Gary Vee inspiration, man. I'll tell you what, man, on my channel too, like I listened to a few keynotes from Gary over the years, and one of his like pieces of advice was like respond to everybody. He's talking about growing your community, and that's what I literally do as much as humanly possible. Is I'm out there responding and replying to every single comment I get, or whether it's just hearting on YouTube, something, you know, showing people I appreciate them. And so that's inspired me to grind and do what I do. So shout out to Gary on that. But that's cool, man, how it worked out. And now you're there. So the card podcast, the Card Talk show, that's on both YouTube. You got the podcast, as you were telling me a little bit earlier. Let's talk about that a little bit, man. You guys just got back, from like the National in Chicago, is that right? Or something crazy?
We had a crazy month. So we actually, we do a lot of traveling to card shows now. And we've been every 6 weeks or so, since March, I believe, maybe even in January.
Oh, wow.
We were going to the Dallas Card Show, which is a huge show out in Allen, Texas. You know, it's about 40 minutes outside of the downtown Dallas, but they put a great show on, and we really wanted to make sure that we were in the mix, right? Like, as you know, like in these communities, in these kind of niche communities, whether it's VV or sports cards or, you know, or anything, your content has to be genuine, right? So like, if you're not interacting with the community, it's hard to just step in and then be taken seriously. You got to go to these shows and you got to interact with the people that, you know, whether it's, you know, the dealers, the shop owners, the big content creators, and all the way down to like just the father and son who are, you know, there to just buy a pack of cards and have a good time. And, you know, you want to interact with those people, because those are the people who are going to support you, who are going to follow you, and who are going to, you know, make your content as good as it can possibly be. Because, as you know, without readers, followers, listeners, whatever the case may be, you know, it makes like you can create amazing content. If only one person is watching it, you know, that you're not going to be successful. You have to market yourself, and you have to go out. So we've been going to Dallas, and I think 3 weeks before the National, we went back to Dallas, and our plan was to go to Atlanta as well. We canceled the Atlanta trip at the last second just because we were doing too much traveling. And then we got back, and then about, you know, a week and a half, I think it was a week and a half later, we went out to the National. We were out there for a week. That was unbelievable. Traveling with those guys is a dream come true, man. I'm going to be honest. Like, you know, Tyler and Lou and Ryan and, you know, the whole crew, especially at the National. I got to hang out with some of the Vayner OGs over there, J-Mo and Andy Kranak and you know, Maha. Like, you know, I know you don't necessarily know who these people are, but to me, like, you know, hearing and seeing all these people and their content creation, being able to travel with them is just, it's awesome. And I learn a lot from them on the road. And I also am learning a lot about the hobby, because, you know, I really got back into the sports card hobby during the pandemic. I collected a lot as a kid. I loved sports cards as a kid. My father used to take me to hobby shops and all that stuff. But I mean, the truth of the matter is, like, you know, it was a forgotten thing for me kind of until the pandemic struck. I wrote an article about this on the 137 PM website, but one day, there's a guy named Tyson Beck. He's an unbelievable sports, you know, designer. He has a crazy account. And his designs are incredible. And so I was following him from the magazine days, because he's inspiration to me as a graphic designer. And right in the beginning of the pandemic, they were doing that Topps Project 2020, you know, series where they were getting artists to redesign cards. And Tyson Beck announced on his Instagram that he was going to be redesigning the 1985 Dwight Gooden card, which was my favorite card as a kid. So when I saw that my favorite artist was redesigning my favorite card, there was nostalgia, there was modern day, this is going to be cool. It was $20. So I figured,
it's like,
what the hell? I'll buy one for $20, keep it on my desk. It'll be a cool little thing. I buy the thing. It arrives in my house or my apartment. And I'm like, literally, I swear to you, like 2 days later, I log on to Instagram. And the first thing that pops up is Tyson Beck puts a picture of the card that I bought. And he's like, with a caption, I can't believe how much these are selling for, and puts a screenshot on the next carousel thing of a $3,495 eBay sold listing.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a second, that's my card. Like, that's the card I have.
Yeah. And you're like getting it out, like, really?
And Kyle, you got to understand, man, like that came at like literally, it was a godsend, because all my work evaporated overnight. I had no paycheck coming in at that point. So I had no choice. I was like, I'm selling this thing. I got to take my $3,000 and cash out, put it up on eBay. I think I wound up selling for like, at that point, it started to drop a little bit because I guess word got out, and then supply went up and demand obviously dipped.
Yeah.
But still, it went from $20. I think I got like $2,795, something like that.
That's crazy. Like that. Yeah.
And it fully hooked me back into the hobby. And I took about $1,000 of that. I tucked it aside. And the rest of the money, I started watching these breaks, the sports card breaks that people do. And I said, I could do this. And I hit up a friend of mine who had a license, one of those, dealer contracts, or whatever they call them, with one of the distributors. And his name is Beacon. And so I linked up with my buddy Beacon, and I had an audience of sports fans from my magazine that, were locked in on sports. I figured there's got to be some sports card collectors in the mix. And the name of the magazine was NYSF, New York Sports Fans. So it's called NYSF Mag, was our Instagram and social media. So I started NYSF Breaks. And I said, listen, if anybody is a sports card collector out there, why don't you join our breaks, and we'll have some fun, rip some cards and whatever. And it took off. We were doing pretty well with it. And right at that point is when, maybe a month into that, is when I linked up with Tyler, and then I kind of put all projects aside to get started with 137. But that was how I got back into sports cards, man. It was just from this $20 Tyson Beck Dwight Gooden card, and now I'm creating sports card content for a living, which is just amazing how life works. Because I always wonder, like, if I think a big part of why Tyler hired me is because I was involved in a little bit in the sports card stuff. And if not for that $20 purchase, I don't think I'm at 137 PM right now. And who knows what's going on right now? I mean, who knows?
That's wild, man. That's wild. Yeah. My mom, and she finally gave me back. I had these cards, this little box of cards since I was a kid. I used to be a big card collector somewhat when I was a kid, man. I was like a nerd. I don't know what it was. I was just a collector from when I was little. So I had coins, I had sports cards, and then I did Pokemon later on. Pokemon came a little bit like as I was approaching teen years, but I got really serious Pokemon for a while. But recently my mom gave me back my cards, and I got a few good cards in there. And I don't know how the rarities of them go, but I had like some Michael Jordans and things like that in there, some of his baseball cards. And then Joe Montana. So I got some good stuff in there, man. So
you have any Pokemon stuff still?
No, unfortunately not, man. I had some really good stuff, some first gen Pokemon or whatever. I don't know the terminology anymore because I'm so far removed from Pokemon these days. But I had a lot of the first series stuff, and even Korean like holographics, things like that, which are worth thousands of dollars these days. Long story short, my mom gave all my cards away when I was a lot younger. Yeah. And she did pro bono type deal, just give them away to somebody else.
That's that's why they're so rare. They weren't really meant to be big time collectibles. They were a game that kids were supposed to play with. So
for sure. Nobody even played it right, It's just like, oh, I got this,
Right, but I'm saying like, the rarest, the early first edition ones that are in mint condition, it's like, they're impossible to find because kids played with them or their parents gave them away or they threw them away or whatever the case may be. And now all these years later, a first edition Charizard selling for $400,000. And you're like, oh, why don't I have mine still? It's crazy.
Man, I'm telling you what, I had a similar kind of experience with Bitcoin where I pulled up like a mining software and wallet thing. And when I was like 14 and I was like, am I going to get a virus on my computer? And then I was like, should I mine it? And I was like, nah, I was like, I don't want to get a virus. So I deleted everything. I was like, nah. And I think I had a few Bitcoin on there. I don't even remember, but I deleted all that, like hard wipes. I hard wiped everything. But yeah, so that's kind of, I missed out on a couple opportunities already in life, as you can,
Well, you got Vivi, so that's a beautiful thing.
I got Vivi, man. Yeah. Speaking of which, how did you learn about Vivi? I know, like, I'm gonna actually pull up a real quick. I think is this an article you actually wrote on?
I did. I wrote that article. Yes.
I don't know if we can blow it up any larger. I don't think we can, but yeah, I just want to, as you can see, yeah, your name's right there. And this was back in like April. You guys were kind of covering Vivi early on.
Right. So let me tell you how that happened. It's actually an interesting story. So
yeah,
obviously Gary's been, tweeting a lot about NFTs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it was back in March, early March, maybe late February, somewhere in that range. And he put something up about an NFT. I don't remember exactly what it was, but his community, his followers, obviously there's some out there, that are a little out there, but like he has a really tuned in community of followers. And if you look at some of the interaction that goes on, like when he posts something, all the comments, you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot from the community. And there was an interesting, something he wrote about NFTs, I'm not sure what, and I clicked on it to see what people had to say. And the top comment on there, the first comment that I saw, and I forget who the guy was, but somebody posted, Gary, you need to check out Vivi. They just scored the license for the NFLPA. They're going to be doing football collectibles. And me, because of what I went through with the pandemic and previously in 2018, I actually didn't work for an entire year because I was really sick. I was dealing with some serious medical issues. So, my finances got a little screwed up. I'm all right, but like, I didn't have $30,000 to put down on a CryptoPunk or 5 ETH to put down on a VFriends, unfortunately. But when I went on to Vivi, to just investigate if there was any validity to what this person was talking about, I noticed it was, so this will take you way back. This is interesting. The collectibles, all of the hottest shit, it was really early on Vivi's, like all the hottest shit can I curse in here?
Yeah, go ahead. Right, yeah.
All the hottest shit that was on Vivi, that's on Vivi right now, the Eduardo Risso Batmans, the silver Ghostbuster logo, all that stuff, that was readily available. You could purchase as many of them as you wanted back then.
Yeah.
And I remember, this is just the worst story of Vivi, but I obviously made up for it later on. Yeah. I have the entire first edition Batman set. I got a couple of the Ghostbusters ones. We got some Harley Quinns and everything. But the two Harley Quinns that are the one Harley Quinn that's like the most valuable one. I forget the artist, but that one I don't own. And I was going to buy the silver Ghostbusters logo, but it was like $90, and I was trying to spread the money around, so I got like a regular Ghostbusters logo and like I had a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and stuff like that. But that stuff, there was no drops. It was just sitting there, just waiting to get purchased. And you could have bought 10 of them, 20 of them, whatever you wanted. And so it's like I wish I could go back to that and just unload and get them all, because I would have gotten 10 Rissos and 10 silver Ghostbusters logos, but I spread around a little bit. I think I spent like $400. And then there was an issue with Vivi. Like something happened where I bought in for like 100, and then they like charged me for 300, and then they
Oh, wow.
didn't want to refund me, so they just let me keep the gems or something. It was wild. and so I had like 200 extra. So then I wound up just kept buying stuff.
Yeah.
And and then like obviously you see what's happened. But now I have an incredible portfolio on Vee, which I love.
Yeah.
I've cashed out on a couple of the newer drops just to get a little cash flow going. But I'm totally invested on this entire Vee platform for about $800. Awesome.
Yeah. Wow.
I've cashed out 3,000 already.
Yeah.
I still have about 1,000 in gems, and my portfolio is worth about $15,000, which is just
crazy.
So I'm really excited. I mean, and it's hard, with some of these NFT projects or with like, with Bitcoin or some of them, I mean, obviously like Bitcoin is at whatever, 40, 50,000, a Bitcoin or something like that. Or I know you can buy fractions and stuff like that. But for me, what was so like exciting about Vee, even in the beginning, was it was apparent that they were that their IP, that their partnerships that they were putting together, that David Yu and his history with like with all this stuff, that they were going to get the Supermans and the Batmans and the Spider-Mans and NFL and all this other stuff. And to me, like with the Vee-verse that's coming out, and once people have the ability to cash out their gems, and we kind of went through this with Top Shot. I was involved in Top Shot a little bit in the beginning, and people couldn't cash out. And they had all these this people, my friends would say, oh, it's all play money until you can cash out. It's all bullshit. You don't have that value. And then all of a sudden they said, you know what? You can cash out. And we cashed out. But I'm not cashing out Vee. I've sold a couple of the newer things, but I will not sell my Batmans. I won't sell any of that stuff. I'm holding long term because I believe in the future of Vee. And I think that, who knows how many users they have right now, right? It could be 100,000 that I see, rumored or something, maybe less, maybe 10,000, 50,000, who knows? But whatever that number is, whether it's 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, once they have like millions of users on that site, and there's original Batmans and stuff like that I own that are minted to 500 and stuff like that, like when there's 10,000 people chasing 500,
right.
Supply and demand isn't as intense as when 1 million people or 5 million people are chasing 500. So I believe in the long-term success of Vee. I wrote that in that article, even right off the bat when I was first on it, before, when the drops were a mess, when like, you would try to buy something and you get thrown off the app and it would freeze and you'd have to log back on in 2 hours and and all that stuff. They've really streamlined it and gotten it humming along, where, you see what happens. You buy a secret rare for, I just bought a secret rare Spider-Man for $400 or 400 gems. And, you can flip it for when the market opened at 3,400 gems. I mean, it's down to, I think, like 2,000 now, but it's an incredible thing. Whether you're a collector, a flipper, however you decide to play it, it's a lot of fun. And I think that, like, as you see Marvel with Marvel Month and Captain America and all these things they're doing, I think that they're really doing some amazing things. The interactivity of the functionality of the collectibles. This isn't just a Top Shot highlight where you play it.
Yeah. So you got on Top Shots early, you got on Vee early. Like, that's pretty crazy, man. Did you make anything on Top Shots, or you just kind of?
I was late early on Top Shot. Like, I was early, but I wasn't like early enough to get like the $100,000 secret, rare, whatever they call those, like LeBron minted to 500, like the first ones they came out with. But I tell you what, so I believe it was in January, was when I was it was either January or March, but it was one of them. I think it was January, the first time we were in Dallas. And everybody was talking about Top Shot. Everybody was talking. And I'm talking about everybody at that Dallas show. They were like, you need to get it on Top Shot. And I was looking at them, I was like, you guys, who is going to pay money for these digital highlights? I don't understand it. And the guys were like, yo, listen, just buy them and they'll sell for 20 times what you bought it for. Just buy it. And I was like, I'm not wasting my money on that crap. There's no way. and then like I got home and I saw what was going on, and then I gave it like a month. So I think I got it in like February. Yeah. And so I was in there when you were buying $14 packs and flipping the contents for 500. So yeah, I cashed out a few $1,000s, but I didn't make like a ton of money like some of these people did.
Yeah,
Some of them that were in the very, very early stages that were, getting those packs for like whatever, and just, I mean, they got rich off it. Like they made hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's crazy.
It was crazy, man. I remember hearing about Top Shots, and I was kind of the same. I was like, is this for real? Like, I was kind of just analyzing everything, what had happened with people, what was going on in the NFT space. And I was just like, hey, I could see some, very great use cases coming out of this. And, lo and behold, I was just randomly looking at YouTube and was kind of getting my channel back up and running, and thought about just going into crypto, and was thinking about, I was like, man, it'd be cool if there's some, way I could make content in a new way. Cause crypto, just talking about crypto over and over, just, I mean, there's just a stigma and an element to it that is just like, So I looked at Vee and I heard about Vee for the very first time on YouTube. And man, I was like, I heard about like Alcon, their IPs, the licenses they have. And I was like, man, this is literally going to be crazy. Like the very first Batmans, the very first this, that, and the other. I was like, these are going to have significant value in the long run. Like it's a no brainer. Like if these Beeples, if these other NFT artists are making that kind of money, like it's only a matter of time before these like big IPs, it's the very first NFT version of Batman, Superman, now Spider-Man, and Marvel's coming on board. I was like, this is just mind blowing. So at that moment, man, I knew what I was going to be doing, streaming or making content around. And obviously, like, I like making content on other NFT projects that I've actually done. Actually, speaking of which, like, we've had some OGs from the VV community create their own project on OpenSea, and it's done really well. It was on the featured on the homepage as a trending project just the other day. So shout out to, it's actually Junkyard Dog. So they've done really good on their launch.
I gotta check that out. Hey, can I give a shameless plug real quick, since you brought up Beeple's name? You brought up Beeple's name a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Beeple, so 137 has the exclusive documentary of how that entire thing with Beeple went down.
Wow.
Our guy D-Rock and Nima filmed the most amazing documentary that literally, I swear to you, and I don't cry very often, I literally cried at the end of it. It was so fascinating to me that, like, first of all, Beeple's the nicest guy in the world and he's amazing. But this documentary, it's short. I think it's like maybe a half hour. Completely worth the watch. And I'll send you the link if you want to put it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll put that.
It's incredible. It shows start to finish the whole process of him listing it getting sold. He had no clue what it was going to sell for. They went for like, what, $60-something million.
Yeah.
And it's just mind blowing. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. So if anybody's interested in how that whole Beeple thing went down, they got to check it out, because D-Rock and Nima, that filmed that, they are so talented, and it was an amazing piece.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see that, man. And Beeple has shaken the, kind of been the tip of the spear, so to speak, for the NFT space and what it can be and the progression of it, you know what I mean? And it's inspired this whole new generation of artists to really get on the blockchain and really, put their stuff out there. So I think he's done a great job, and he's continuing obviously to do drops. So yeah, man, I would love to see that documentary. I would love to see that, man.
I'm forwarding that to you as soon as we finish this up. It's coming over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, man, is there any other projects you got that you're looking at, or in the NFT space? Or are you mainly just cards right now and working up on the content? Or
I would really, just because of where I'm at, I would love to work my way up to a VeeFriends. That's next on my radar. Gary is revolutionizing the way that these NFT drops go down. It's unbelievable. So working with like Vayner and that whole community over there, man, I can't tell you how much I learned in this last year about this entire space, social media, everything. But, Gary, by putting, like, a lot of these celebrities, influencers, athletes, everybody that's coming out with their NFT projects, they're just coming out with whatever. They're trying to feel their way through, like what to do, whether it's just selling some art or, but Gary, he put that, VCon in place, and a VeeFriends is your ticket to VCon, as well as, some of them, may get you, you know, training sessions with Gary, or one-on-one, you know, personal time, or, you know, gifts sent to you, or whatever the case may be. You know, that he put like functionality behind, you know, there's it's not just an NFT. The NFT is a token to get you access. And Gary's biggest thing that he can offer, you know, to his community is that type of access. And you know, I'm not necessarily looking for that type of access, but I think that, like, you know, what he's done is like, it's incredible. And I need to own one. You know, that's definitely, I'm going to probably level up, eventually sell some cards, sell some, maybe some of my early VV stuff at some point, and I'm probably going to level up and get myself V friends, and, you know, kind of spread it around a little bit. That's definitely on my radar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, V friends has definitely been on my radar since the beginning. I was actually in the Discord and watching the drop, man. Everybody was like freaking out on the Discord, man, and it was like going, like, it was just everybody was freaking out. It was so funny, man. And so I got that drop. I remember it was like, he delayed it. I think Gary delayed it a little bit, or like a day, and they were just immediately just sold out, like boom. It's like, it was crazy. But I've been watching the charts on Rarity or whatever, Rarity.tools or whatever that website is, and just watching that Gary, man, just climb, just top 10, baby, just boosh boosh. And
some people like to doubt Gary, but he doesn't typically lose. You know, like the guy knows what he's doing. I mean, I don't know what. There's a weird segment of people out there, and, you know, look, he's not for everyone, I guess. I mean, you know, there's going to be, if you put your name out there and you put your takes out there and you put your opinions out there, there's always going to be detractors and people that aren't, you know, into what you're doing, and that's fine. But I mean, I don't get it.
It's a part of the game, and yeah, it's just like, I don't know what it was either, and obviously it's done really well, and, you know, it speaks for itself, right? It's just like, it's there. And then now the NFT space is just like, okay, Gary's here, and, you know, it is what it is. Gary has talked about NFTs for a long time now, right? Like, it's like, you know, and so exactly. So he's been,
I mean, he's been talking about sports cards for a long time. And I went back when I first started working at 137, right? When I first started writing sports card articles, I wanted to get an idea of, like, you know, the stuff that Gary had put out about sports cards, obviously prior to when I was there. So I started reading some of his older articles. It is like the man had a crystal ball, and he literally was able to see the future, like Gray Sports Almanac or something like that. I know, Back to the Future,
crazy, man.
For the VV friends. If you read that article from like 3.5 years ago or 3 years ago about what's going to happen, buy Luka Doncic rookies, what they're going to be worth in 3 years.
That's crazy.
It is wild how on point he was. It's like,
that's what blows my mind, man. Gary is like so good at like forecasting, like what's going to happen, and or gets really close. Like, it's just like scary. It gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, but it's interesting because then you hear him talking about, like, you know, like in like buy what matters, right, to you. Like, but, you know, I was out there probably in 2018 or 2018 when he was writing that article, and I was reading it. I remember reading that and thinking to myself, that sounds like a cool idea, but I'm gonna go out to the bar instead of spending money. You know, instead of spending money on Luka Doncic rookies, I was going out to the bar and dropping $100 on dinner and beers with my buddies. You know, and instead of buying, you know, instead of investing, you know, into any of these cards that he was talking about prior to me being there, like, you know, I guess I wasn't focused, but, like, you know, now it's amazing the way that my mind's changed, because now, like, I go out to a store and I see something that I maybe 3 years ago would have been like, yeah, I need that. You know, like, the sneakers are dope. I need those. That hoodie's awesome. I need that. And now I think to myself, like, do I really need that? Because that money that I spend on that, I could flip that $100 and buy a Raw Kaboom card, get it graded by SGC, take that 100, flip it into 400, take that 400, flip it into 1,000, get myself a V friends. You know what I mean? So, like, my mindset completely changed over over the last couple of years. I mean, but looking at how on point he was about that stuff, I don't doubt that guy. There's no way.
No, yeah, absolutely. So, Yeah, man, he's been an inspiration in like a lot of different spaces, which is actually literally blows my mind. I remember first finding out about Gary and kind of just dipping my toe in his content a few years ago, and just being. I remember at first I was just kind of like shocked. I was just like, because that's Gary's personality. He's just like in your face. But
Yeah.
you after a while you realize like it's like, oh crap, actually I need that in my life. Like I need somebody telling me like you got to get out there and put some, you need to hustle, you need to grind and get after it. But then he gives you like these execution points to do it, like investing and, how, like you're saying, how to flip, how to change your mindset. So it's so applicable, not only in just like a business or entrepreneur, but if you're in collecting, it's the same thing. Like you're just saying, like you take one thing, you flip it and you keep flipping it. All that requires is effort and some skill, and you can get to that, that whatever NFT you're trying to get after, which
it's a lot of studying, Kyle. Like it seems so easy on its surface that like, you could buy a Luka Doncic card. Let's just keep on that, or a, you watch a game and you see a rookie and he looks good and you buy his card, but like there's so much studying that go into all this stuff, NFTs, sports cards, like. If you watch a preseason game tonight, I know the Redskins or the Washington football team is playing New England tonight. So you watch that game and you see a rookie that you love and you're like, you know what? I'm going to invest in that guy. Oh yeah. So tell me, you're going to invest in that guy. What product are you buying? Do you have any clue about numbered cards? Do you have any clue about refractors? Do you know what grading is? Do you know what this is? If you don't know the answers to all those questions, you shouldn't be buying that stuff because you will lose money. And it's no different on NFTs. Like, you need to know what you're buying. You can't just go buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. You're going to lose money. And Gary talks about that all the time. Like, there's a million NFT projects out there, and 98% of them are going to fail and go. And your money that you're investing, you got to play with money that you can afford to lose. That's why when I saw the comment on Gary's post about Vivi, the first thing I did before I bought anything, I went to the website, I check it out, do a little research, see what's going on, and said, you know what? I'll put a couple $100 in this and see where it goes.
Yeah.
But like, listening to influencers and anybody telling you what to buy is like the worst thing you can do. You got to do your own research, and you have to know why you're buying it, why you think it's going to go up in value, and and all that. I mean, I think if anything, if anybody's watching this and wants to take anything from this interview, it's that. You have to do your research, and not research doesn't mean listening to somebody else telling you what's important. It's, getting the reps. You got to go into their site. You got to do the reading, do the research, follow people like yourself and see what you have to say. I would do 50 hours of research before I'd ever buy one thing in any of these spaces.
Yeah.
I think it's like, and as you go, even if you take a small L, you buy something for $50, $100, and you learn why that wasn't a good buy. Maybe that's a good education, but but don't go throwing thousands of dollars into something you don't know what you're buying, because you'll get cooked.
That's crazy, man. And a lot of the space probably needs to hear that too, because everybody's so hyped and everybody's so excited. The people kind of like set this big giant, enormous standard or expectation rather. And so like people think they're just going to ape into all these different projects and make a bunch of money, when that, is not the case for everybody. You could buy in at an all-time high. So there is a lot of research that goes into, when to invest, what time to invest, who's behind the project, things like that. So I think that's very applicable, and people definitely need to hear that in the space. So I don't think, like, as far as from what I know, like I'm on Twitter every day. I'm like in the NFT space, like a lot, as you know, but you just don't hear that kind of advice,
Yeah, well, look, I mean, a Michael Jordan rookie card, right? Something everybody would love to own, a PSA 10 perfect gem mint Michael Jordan rookie card. Can't lose money on it, right? Like that's what you would think. Like, I can't lose money on this. It's just going to go up in forever. Well, a few months ago, a couple of them sold for like $740,000, right?
It's crazy.
And now, they came back down recently, and now they're worth like $300,000. So if you bought into that card at $740,000, you feel a lot different about that card than the person that bought that card 2 years ago for $15,000, right? Because if you bought it for $15,000 and you held it, and now it's at $300,000, you're still feeling pretty good. But if you bought it at $720,000 or $740,000 and went down to $300,000, you're not feeling so good. So like it's a lot of it's timing and a lot of it's luck and and stuff. But there is a lot of education that needs to be done before you make these large purchases. And I mean, man, crypto punks and there's Axie. There's a million projects out there. And if you that's just my advice. If you're going to jump into one and you feel really good about one, I think that's awesome. But I think that, do your research, follow the influencer, follow the accounts, the big accounts that are, that are talking about this stuff. Follow, watch podcasts, watch,
follow Jason. I got your socials up on there. Where can people find you, by the way? Speaking of all that. So you're on Twitter, obviously, down below, but where else can people find you?
So on Instagram, at Jays, JAYS _cardboard. I barely post on there, but it's my goal. My goal going forward. I've been talking to Tyler about this to really, really, really do a lot more posting on all of my socials. So, I spend so much time posting on the Card Talk socials and on the 137 socials and all that stuff. I kind of let my personal socials slip. Before I came on to 137, most of my social media content was done through my sports magazines and all my crazy sports takes. So that was kind of like my personal outlet, kind of in a sense. But I'm kind of a private guy. I don't really like to share too much of my personal information, so I didn't really have too much personal stuff. But now that I'm with 137 and Card Talk and all that stuff that I do, and writing articles and everything, I do want people to be able to interact and communicate with me if they like something I wrote, if they don't like something I wrote, or a piece of my content, or they just want to say hello. They can definitely find me on the Twitter at J Koeppel and on Instagram at Jays _cardboard.
Cool, man. Cool. So with that being said, do you guys actually hunt for is Gary it's hey, Jason, I'm looking for this card. Could you guys go look and find it for me? Do you guys ever do stuff like that?
So I'm not doing Gary shopping for him.
Okay.
I know that there's definitely people that he trusts if he wants to pick up a card for sure. I'm not that guy, but Gary has an incredible collection. I've
seen a couple of his cards and a couple of things he's been getting over the past month or so.
Yeah, I've only seen bits and pieces of it, to be honest.
Little bit.
I was really, 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 really looking forward to spending some time with him at the National, seeing his incredible collection. We had 21 tables that were going to be mostly his cards. And I'm talking about 21 displays. I'm sorry, they're going to be mostly his cards, and he was going to have all this stuff. Unfortunately, at the last minute, he couldn't make it because of some family stuff. But which was heartbreaking for me. But at the same time, I plan on being with 137 for a long time, and I am looking forward to at some point being able to rummage through his collection and see some of his fire, because I know he's got some for sure.
Yeah, I know he's obviously I see his Twitter, and you can kind of tell. Obviously, you can just tell the excitement of he enjoys collecting, enjoys sports cards, and obviously, if you follow him a little bit on Twitter, just for a little bit. He's talking about the rookies, as you mentioned earlier in the show. He talks about rookies and the ability to see their worth, but you also have to, like you're saying, have to know about the cards and all that, and which I know nothing of anymore. I'm
there's a lot of intricacies in the card game, and Gary is very genuine with his sports card love. I know that there's a lot of people in the sports card community that give him a lot of shit, and they're he's just trying to manipulate them. People say the most absurd things. Gary doesn't have better things to do than try and make a couple dollars off it. He collects sports cards because he loves it, just like most of the people in the hobby. Yeah, is that he's he has his fame and he and people kind of they think some people, a small segment, but
I see it every day in the NFT community. People are throwing out accusations because some guy over here or some YouTuber or it's there's a conspiracy of and it's just not true.
He genuinely loves cards. He talks about them because he loves them. He doesn't talk about them to pump the value. He enjoys, just like with garage sailing, he enjoys the sport of it by trying to And whether that's a $10 card that he can flip for 30, clearly he doesn't need the $30, but he loves the sport of it, right? It's a game. It's like for all of us, like there's nothing more like amazing to me. Like that was at my first national. That was the first time I'd ever been to a national, and taking these cards that I had a plan with these cards, right? Like a lot of these cards I bought, who knows, $20, $40. And I got them slabbed up, or I bought them slabbed and I thought they would go up. And, you bring them to national, and you put them out on the table, and it's not, paying my rent, my mortgage, my medical insurance, so like I have my bills covered, but like there's nothing to me is more fascinating and thrilling than when you have a card that you had a gut feeling on that, hey, I can buy this card for $20, and I think that, in a few months I'll be able to sell it for 200, right?
Yeah.
and you put it in the shelf, and some guy walks up and he's like, that card, I need that card. I'll give you a $250 for it. And you're like, sold. And your plan came true. And it's like, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. To me, it's like a real life, it's like a real life board game. It's like Monopoly, and it's the negotiating's fun, and the community's fun, and you meet all these people, these wonderful people, and you make friendships and everything. And they hit you up and they're like, hey, do you know where I can get one of these cards? You're like, yeah, I saw one. Hey, do you know where I can get one of these? You make some trades, and it's just a lot of fun, man. And Gary, I think, really appreciates that aspect of it, and that's why he's into it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. There's a lot definitely that goes into that, man. Some strategy, and like you said, if you flip that 20, you 10x it or whatever, that's an incredible feeling for sure. So do you guys see, like, as cards kind of go digital, are you guys going to put focus on that, or are you guys staying in that physical space, or what's that look like?
I mean, look, like I said, I got involved in Top Shot a little bit. I cashed all my Top Shot out. I'm not a believer in what's going on at this point in Top Shot. I have no collectibles and no money left in that account. I'm completely cashed out of Top Shot. I just bought some of the Topps Bundesliga, packs that came out just for the reps. I wanted to teach it to myself. I had no clue what was going on.
Yeah.
I figured, what better way? I bought 2 packs, ripped them. Got some cool stuff. Actually, as a VV buyer, then I ripped and I got an epic rare, which means it was minted.
Oh wow, yeah.
Minted to 81, but I got serial number 1. I posted it on Twitter.
What?
And I'm thinking to myself, like, if that was a VV, I just made like 10 grand. You know what I mean? Right. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Effect, man.
The market hasn't really been established yet, so like I have no clue what's going on yet. But yeah, I can only speak for myself personally. Like, I'm not heavily into the digital collectibles. I bought like 1 pack of the Panini basketball card, or maybe 5 packs of those Panini blockchain cards, just to again for the reps to check it out, and so that when I'm creating content about this stuff, I kind of know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not big time into the digital cards yet, man. If I'm being real, like I just. It doesn't do anything for nobody's invented anything yet nobody's minted anything yet to me that really makes sense as a digital card. And when I say that, I mean like VV has a plan with their collectibles, right? Like, you're going to be part of the VV verse, and you're going to be able, and like Spider-Man shooting webs, and you can take your picture with him, and like the DeLorean's got the flux capacitor, and you can, in the VV world, you'll be able to drive the car around, and that to me makes sense, because it's like a video game an alternate reality, and you're going to be able to do things with these collectibles. I don't know what you can do with like a Topps Bundesliga card that, like, I would truthfully rather have. I have slabs in my house. I'd rather have the slab. Right. And so, like, I think that once they figure something out, whether it's, maybe inside of the packs, there's like special cards that, like, let's say in that Bundesliga pack, there's an Erling Haaland card where, there's 10 of them that they're giving away in there, and that if you hit it, you get to spend a day with him, and or there's some prize behind it, or there's some like
they need to hire Gary Vee to add some utility up in there,
right? Some Willy Wonka golden ticket. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be, or the card is part of some some game, like, and you need to have the card in order to to dominate this game or something like that. Kind of like having a Charizard and Pokemon. There has to be functionality, or else what are we doing here? Like, we just have a card on your phone as opposed to a card there.
Right. You want that physical one for sure.
I get that some people are going to be collecting these things, but it doesn't appeal to me until there's some utility behind it. And once that happens, I'll certainly, maybe revisit it. But the market doesn't seem to be loving what they've done so far. And I think there's good reason for that. And so, no, I'm not involved so much in that. I don't know that any of the other guys in Card Talk are. I know that Ryan's not. I know that I don't want to put Panini down too much. We talked to their NFT guy when we were out there in Dallas. We had an interview with them. They were actually dropping. It's just not for me, man.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I think I saw like the tops and all that stuff, and some of the cards that were pretty rare, they went for a pretty decent price, but a lot of those you could just pick up, pretty cheap. So like you said, the market hasn't really settled, and it's kind of just like these companies, I feel like, are just testing versus, creating something of like you said, with some utility, some function behind it. So
I'm logging into the Topps NFT website right now just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Just so you understand, like, so I bought these 2 packs of rare, let me see what they call them. I just get logged in. So 2 packs of these, they call them Bundesliga season celebration NFT premium packs, right? They 25,000 of them they put up for sale, right? And just from VV or from Top Shot how fast that would move. Platform, right? They put this up yesterday, so it's been up now for almost 48 hours. And it says how many are still available. Like, it says it on there.
Yeah.
So they still have 18,218 of the 25,000 packs that they had for sale available. So
wow.
They've only sold like 6,000 and change, 6,700 and change. So it's like, there's a reason for that, right? There's a reason why VV moves. There's a reason why Top Shot they would put, 40,000 packs for sale, and there would be 300,000 people waiting online to get them.
Right.
The market's not reacting to it. So Topps needs, I think, to take a lesson from that and figure out why that's the case and what they need to do to improve their platform and to improve their product that are in demand. Because until those packs sell out, there's going to be no resale market because you can just buy more packs.
Yeah. Yeah. And 2 is like some of these newer platforms that I'm starting to see are kind of figuring out that you have to make it easy for consumers as well to get your product. So I think that's obviously a good element to that. As you saw DraftKings and the whole autograph / Tom Brady deal dropped the other day, and there's another one dropping like tomorrow. So that one was,
huh?
Yeah, tomorrow, man. I got a couple of those.
Who is it tomorrow? It's not Tom Brady, is it?
Yeah, it's Tom Brady. So the first drop was yesterday, and it was like his non-signed digital signature. So tomorrow will be his like hand signed or however he signed it. I don't know. I guess like he did it on a digital pad, but those will all be going, dropping tomorrow. So
how hard was it to get the first time around, like off the bat?
It was pretty tough. I'm not gonna lie, because I think it throws you into a random queue. So you'll basically hit a page and it'll do a countdown timer, so you have to wait on that page, and then once that page hits 0, it'll take you to a queue, and it'll say, so however many people are in front of you.
That's what Top Shot was. That was same as Top Shot.
Yeah, so it's like, if there's only 5,000 NFTs and there's 10,000 people ahead of you, you might as well just be like, I got nothing.
That's how it was.
Yeah. So the first 2 I bought, I was able to get, and then the last like 2 or 3 drops, rarities that increased there, I just had no chance at all.
Well, I mean, it's random, so you got as good a chance as anyone else, right?
Yeah. So I think more and more people were finding out about it as the drops were happening, because it was causing that social buzz on social media. And I think more and more people were hopping in, and I was in the Discord as well. And like people were just hopping in there. And it was really cool though, to experience that drop. And it had that that Gary Vee vibe, or those V.
Shout out DraftKings, because we're doing some fun things with them with 137 PM. So I think I'm gonna have to get in the mix tomorrow.
Oh wow. Okay, heck yeah, man. Yeah, it was fun. You do have to like preload your account with money, so that's something I believe you have to do.
How much does it cost?
So I think the minimum tomorrow is going to be $250. So it's kind of a steep buy-in. I think yesterday the lowest one was like $12, which was super affordable. But then it 10x as soon as because it's Tom Brady, man. So
gotta play big to win big, man.
Exactly. So yeah, I'll be joining that drop too. So
psyched about that. The most expensive. So I'm looking right now on the marketplace because I'm curious where the market's at on this Topps soccer cards, and the most expensive one that's sold so far is $699. But I mean, there have been very few sales of these cards. I mean, that was a legendary rare minted to 5 that sold for $699.
Oh wow! Yeah, if it was legendary on VV, man, that'd be going for like 2-3 Gs,
2-3 Gs. If there was a Batman minted to 5, that thing would be worth like $100,000.
Yeah, it would be insane, man. But man, I'm excited. NFL PAs right around the corner. I'm hoping they drop those pretty quick. So
now, what are the rumors? So I'm not up to date on all the rumors. As far as the NFL goes, is there any idea of when that's supposed to start coming out?
Yeah, so I asked Reese on that a couple months ago, and they were saying like they're aiming for preseason. So it's like, dude, we're here. Oh, so I'm super pumped. That's why I keep telling people, man, I'm like, you got like NFL PAs right around the corner, like VV is just still getting started. Everything's still going to be FA and firsts, and if it's Todd McFarlane statues, that's even more like clout because he's taking over.
Today.
You did?
I saw one dip under $500 and under 500 gems. It went to $499, and I scooped it up on the spot.
Wow. Yeah. Those are going to be some good buys for the foreseeable like couple months. And then, when new users are going to start piling in, they're going to want those Todds, that very first NFT on VV. So
Yo, can I just I want to give two quick shout outs while I got on because I know they're going to be watching. My VV crew, my OG VV partner, Brian Guiney, my lawyer. I was like, yo, I told him about VV, and he's like, he said to me, you are not getting involved in this. I was like, why not? He goes, because I'm not your partner yet. He's like, you get involved in it, we're partners. I was like, done. So him and I, we partnered up. So we're partners on our account. My other boys, Dustin and Bob and John, we have the group chat going. We're all like, it's the funniest thing when the secret rares drop and we all landed. We're all like, just spiking in the end zone, like just going crazy in the group chat. I got Lou, one of the hosts of Card Talk, is fully in on the VV drops now and has landed a couple of the secret rares as well.
Dude, it's crazy, man.
But everybody that's been jumping in has been loving it so far. So I'm having a lot of fun, not just, getting involved in it, but the community aspect of it is like, it's so much fun. Like after the drops, it's gotten like funny almost. Like if four of us land one and the other one doesn't, like we there's fun of that guy all day and just make him feel terrible. And like, it's like fantasy football vibes. It's great.
Yeah. Man, it's crazy, man. I got some groups and chats too, and we're all like, talking about if we landed or not. And it's funny because it's just hit or miss, and like people think there's just something going on. And it's just like, man, it's just literally luck, man. But yeah, man, thanks once again for hopping on, man. I appreciate you for tuning in and telling us about what you do. Is there any final words?
No real final words. I just say I look forward to creating more content around this stuff, as we go forward. So, I mean, I know there's probably not too many mainstream type outlets putting out too much stuff about VV, but I fully enjoy it. I'm fully involved in it. And I look forward to spreading some more awareness of it, not to pump up the value as, some ridiculous, people might say, but to literally educate why I think that this is a cool platform.
It is. There's just so much down the pipeline. You know, there's a lot of stuff.
If they go up in value, great. If not, it is what it is.
Thanks for tuning in, brother. You can take it.
Appreciate you, man.
Peace.
Later.